any testable hypothesis or hints with respect to what the physiological cause for this could be?
The question concerns how these differences in race differences in intelligence have appeared. The generally accepted theory to explain this is that the human species evolved in Africa, of course, about 150,000 years ago, in equatorial Africa, in the region of contemporary Kenya and Uganda. And some of this population migrated northwards, first of all into the Middle East and then into Europe and Asia. Now, those groups that migrated northwards encountered a more demanding environment. In particular, the problem of survival over the cold winters. In equatorial Africa, there are plant and insect foods available throughout the year. Whereas as our ancestors moved northwards, there are no plants or insect foods throughout much of the winter and spring. So our ancestors therefore became reliant on hunting large animals for food, and that is more intellectually demanding. They would hunt animals like horses and deer. These animals run fast. So in order to capture them and kill them, it was necessary for men to go out in groups to devise group hunting strategies, one of which, for example, was to drive a number of these animals into the loop of a river, so the animals were forced to cross the river to escape. But the men would have some comrades on the other side of the river and would club them down as they came out on the other side. So this was quite an intellectually demanding exercise to catch these animals, kill them, and then bring them back to the group. And then there were other intellectually demanding problems for survival in the cold climates, like making clothes and shelters and making fires and keeping them going. All these things were intellectually demanding and required a higher intelligence than was necessary in equatorial Africa. So you get a gradient. The most severe climatic conditions were in Northeast Asia, which is why the Northeast Asians evolved the highest IQ. After that, Europe, and then after that, North Africa and Southern Asia. That's the generally accepted explanation today of those of us who work in this area.
If I might add a point, I believe you also had a question as to what were the physiological correlates with group differences in intelligence. Well, it turns out the brain is probably, well, it's by far the most complex organ in the human body, and there's some estimates that perhaps even half of the genome is involved in the formulation of the brain. So we really don't know the details about how the brain works. But at the gross level, there's an unquestionable connection between brain size and intelligence. And there are definite differences, well established now through all kinds of scientific means, of brain sizes by race, even when you control for body size. And so that North Asians do have a brain that is proportionately larger than that of Caucasians and blacks. And then I believe it's Australian Aborigines have the smallest brains, is that correct?
That's right.
So this is this is a very gross, surface level physiological correlate for intelligence, but it is something that differentiates intelligence within race.